Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for another edition of Adam Interviews. As you've seen, if you've watched these before, we are bringing in some wonderful people in our community and wonderful people who are visiting our community. Today, it's the former. It's some folks who live here, and they are doing tremendous work, inspired work, and you can be part of that and have a good time doing it. There's an event coming up on Saturday. We're talking about dystonia, which is a disease that affects a lot of people in our community in various ways. The good news is there are treatments out there. There's a lot of research going into finding a cure, not just a treatment, but a cure. And we want to talk about what the disease is, how it affects people, and the work that's being done on behalf of those folks and by those folks. And someone who does have the disease, who is very active in this arena, is joining us right now, and that's Ben Lewis. Ben, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Of course, and we have Ben's parents as well. We have Richard and Rosalie Lewis. Thank you so much, both of you, for joining us today.
Thank you.
Of course. So Ben, I want to talk with you first. When we talk about dystonia, how do you describe it? If you tell someone you have it, how do you describe it to them?
Well, I say it's a very disruptive neurological disorder that affects my ability to walk, speak, use my hands. So I like to start when I was about 7 years old, where I lost the ability to walk normally, had no idea what was going on, and had to manage the emotions and the physical limitations that were presenting themselves to me.
From what I read, essentially what it will do is it causes the muscles to contract, correct?
The brain sends messages to body parts, and dystonia takes those messages and distorts them so that the body parts don't do what the brain wants it to do.
Do you experience any pain because of this?
Yeah, so I have back pain, I have neck pain because of the contracting movements of my muscles that I don't want.
And Richard and Rosalie, when you started to discover these symptoms, tell me how they presented, how you figured out there was a problem.
Well, Ben has two brothers, and his older brother, actually, we heard from a school teacher that he switched handedness. He's become a lefty instead of a righty, which is very unusual for someone in the third grade, and he had a tremor. And he said, the teacher suggested we get him evaluated. Of course we did. And unfortunately, we saw a neurologist who did an exam and thought he had a brain tumor. And then after that, when a CT scan did not show a brain tumor, he said that it was a familial intention tremor. And it just went on for a year or two. And then I started to notice that when Ben was playing soccer, he was lifting his leg up too high. It was just an abnormal motion. And I just said, there's something wrong here. And I'm an orthopedic physician, so after work, I would just look through old neurology books in the library for hours. And one day I found in a book a disorder called Dystonia musculorum deformans, which of course I never heard about in medical school, very rare. And it turned out that I was just convinced that's what I was seeing. I had a University of Rochester neurologist, movement disorder specialist, evaluate him, and they said he needs to go to Columbia, where the world expert on dystonia is at Stan Fon at Columbia University, and he confirmed the diagnosis a week later.
And Rosalie, what was your reaction to the diagnosis?
Well, you can't imagine a mother of 4 sons, 2 of them now having this movement disorder that I had no idea what it was. And my heart was wrenched every morning when they would try to get together and get to school and try to walk and try to handle the social implications of what they were going through. And all I kept thinking is, I gotta do something. What can I do to help? And we found the Dystonia Medical Research Foundation as a resource. We quickly joined the group. This was 1985. So there wasn't much going on. There was very little, if any, research into dystonia. And so we decided that that's the way we're going to help our sons, not only emotionally, but we're going to raise awareness, help education, raise funds, and get research. And that's what we've been doing ever since.
Was there research at the time, was there treatment at the time that could help?
Go ahead.
The treatment at the time was a medicine called Artane, which is used in Parkinson's. The problem with Artane is lots of side effects. The most devastating side effects are cognitive impairment. So we started the kids on Artane, and the doses were built up. And as the doses were built up, we saw a slight improvement, but we also saw cognitive decline, measured IQs declining, and that's the way it was for many years until the advent of deep brain stimulation, which was really a godsend, enabling them to get off the medicines and sort of reawaken in many ways.
When did that treatment come out, and what does that consist of?
Well, deep brain stimulation came out, I guess Ben's surgery was about 2006. Yeah. And what that consists of is inserting 2 electrodes deep into the brain in an area called the basal ganglia. And the wires run down, and just like a cardiac pacemaker, the batteries are implanted in the chest wall, just under the skin. And when the signals are turned on, there was a dramatic improvement, and it enabled them to get off all the medicines that were clouding their brain and causing dry eyes and other side effects. And the device could be programmed with changing of settings and voltage, and Ben has been doing that forever since they were replaced. My other sons got successful settings very early. Ben and Dan have struggled with their settings. Not everyone gets complete improvement, but he's had substantial benefit.
Did all 4 sons get diagnosed with this?
4 sons have the gene, 3 sons have the symptoms. Interesting thing about dystonia is it's what's called incomplete penetrance. That is, you can have the gene, but for example, I'm the gene carrier, I have no symptoms. And only 30% of people with the gene ever manifest symptoms.
I mean, the probability there, that's heartbreaking. So Ben, when you got the deep brain stimulation, you were probably closing in on 30 years old, if I'm doing my math right?
Yeah, around there.
Yeah.
2005.
Yeah. How was that for you when that happened?
Life changing. The freedom from relying on, I used to get Botox shots into my vocal cords to help treat my speech. That was no longer necessary, so I was able to speak like I am today with more freedom. The need to use crutches and a scooter and rely on the medications went away. I now walk with a cane, which gives me great freedom, but there's still a lot of pulling and twisting that causes a lot of body discomfort. I regained a lot of ability with my right hand to be able to write and type with a keyboard, which I never thought was going to be in my future. But deep brain stimulation gave me that.
That's remarkable. I mean, to suffer from this for 23 some odd years, over 20 years, and then to actually get something back.
Yeah, it was like a new birth almost.
Yeah.
But there's still a lot more to be done, and every day we want a lot more. But
yeah, so that kind of gets to where we're going with this. What kind of research is being done right now?
Great question.
Yeah, okay. Is it perfecting the deep brain stimulation, or is it is there something else? I don't know, Richard, if you want to take this one.
Well, research has been ongoing, and I would say in in 1997, we discovered the gene that is responsible for childhood dystonia, DYT1. And that opened up a dramatic amount of research, because once you have a gene, you have a protein. And we knew there was an abnormal protein. And this brought on lots of studies with animal models and lots of imaging studies. I would say that there's lots of research going on regarding DBS, but we really don't understand how DBS works. One of the things going on now is with the new devices, you actually can pick up a signal from the brain and stimulate in response to the signal. Ben's device doesn't have that ability, but the newer devices have that ability. So there's lots going on in that regard. There's also other treatments like stimulating the brain without inserting anything inside with it's called TMS, magnetic stimulation, where you can stimulate the brain and get some benefits for a short period of time. So there's lots of work going on, and there's lots of, we sponsor, the DMRF sponsors workshops, and we're always involved in trying to get young investigators and postdocs interested in studying dystonia. And there are even some potential new medications that are in very early stages that we're hoping will make a difference without side effects.
You know, I'd like to add that the Dystonia Foundation funds about $1 million worth of research every year. So whether it's direct grant research or contract or workshops or symposia, we are actively seeking out better answers to this disease. It's coming along. There's hope. There's real reason for hope. But for those who are suffering, it's very frustrating. You want that answer now.
Of course, of course. And when you say that you pinpointed a gene the community has, is there gene therapy? I mean, could there be, what you're talking about right now seems like exceptional therapy and treatment. Is there the potential on the horizon of a cure to this?
Well, after the DYT1 gene was found, we found other genes. I think it got to DYT25. So there's many different forms. And there are probably 100 genes that are involved in the pathways involved in the circulation. And the problem with gene therapy is delivering the vector. Where do you put it? We have no idea. Do you insert it into the brain? It's still a dilemma. So there's really no gene therapy that's impending at the moment. But we're certainly looking at all those genes and trying to understand all of the pathways and looking at ways that the pathways that are abnormal can be disrupted.
So, Ben, do you think that you might get a different mechanism, a different device put in now that there are more advanced ones? Where does that go?
Well, I think it all depends on what the options are in the future. So I currently have batteries in my chest that communicate with my brain. One of them is a rechargeable battery, which has been amazing. That means less surgeries for me. It's much longer life, so less opportunity for infection is a good thing. So whatever comes out in the future, I would be open to, but I would prefer not to have so many surgeries in my lifetime.
Yeah, that would be tremendous. So this gets us to, talking about future research and how you can help if you're looking. I'm going to go super high tech here and show you the Dystonia Zoo Day flyer. This is going to happen over at the Seneca Park Zoo. It's going to be this Saturday, October 25th, and starts in the morning, 9:30 t-shirt pickup, and then the fun gets underway at 10:30. And you get there, and $25 for adults. I think it's $15 for kids, and it goes to research into this field. So if folks come out, Ben, what can they expect from this event?
Fun, hopefully beautiful weather. Hopefully the animals are showing off for everybody that's there to enjoy the day. To learn more about what dystonia is, to engage with people who live with it and people who have family members with it or friends. Well, you just have a good time.
What's that like for you to be around people with similar symptoms that you have?
It's very relieving as somebody who lives with dystonia. It's not that I'm not the only one. It's important to be able to speak with others, to share your experience, to understand and reflect with them, to empathize with them, to help them know that you've had success in the past, you've had failures in the past. If they're experiencing a good day, that lifts you up. If they're experiencing a down day, you can relate to them and support them through that time.
And I think I have to imagine that for someone who's younger, if they see you're married, you have 2 young kids, you're active, that has to just seeing before they even talk to you, that has to be motivating and inspiring.
I hope so. I think I like to think of myself as a role model for others, as other people are role models for me.
And did you have that in the past?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. I still do.
Does it? Do you share experiences with your brothers who have it?
Sure. I mean, we're brothers for a reason, so we communicate and we let each other know how we're feeling, what's challenging, what's going on good, mostly with our families. But it's beautiful to see that we remain close through all these years, and we now have families of our own.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And Richard and Rosalie, what recommendations would you have to parents out there who are just getting this diagnosis? Where should they go? Maybe perspectives they can take, any advice?
Well, I would contact the Dystonia Medical Research Foundation. They have tremendous support facilities. They have tremendous educational facilities, and they might want to join the foundation and participate in the work we're doing and to try to find a cure. We'd like to close that foundation down completely because we have a cure.
I think the biggest thing for me with the children first diagnosed was the feeling of isolation. I'm alone. Who do I turn to? I need help. And the doctors, certainly the University of Rochester Department of Neurology is fantastic. The doctors that are there have limited time, however, so you need the support. You need to go to wherever you can find someone who's going to give you, number 1, information, and number 2, to reassure you that there's options out there that will help you along the way. You're not alone.
What would you like to have known? I'm sure a lot of things, but perhaps the top thing that you would have liked to know in the mid-'80s when you started to learn about this?
Boy, that's a hard one because there was so much we didn't know. We would like to know, what is this disease? Where did it come from? And how do we help our sons? The biggest thing was, how do we get them to be strong, independent men in a world that is not geared very often to those who are less than able? And I think our sons have proven that it's possible. So the hope, I think people need to always have hope that there will be something that will help them.
I think it speaks to your messaging to them throughout that, which is, I think I noted the Zoo Day. There was a motto I saw, something about like
NAQ?
Yeah, what does that stand for?
So
I'd like to tell you about that. So I came home one day that was obviously a very frustrating day, and Ben was in the garage building a kite. And on this kite, he wrote NAQ. And I said, "What is that?" He said, "That's me, Dad. I'm not a quitter. That's NAQ."
And that's what we do. Our team at the Zoo Day on this Saturday is the team NAQ. And I hope everybody will come out and join us and have fun. We are going to have jugglers, and we're going to have face painters and raffles and auctions and speakers from the University of Rochester. It's going to be a great event.
Just to be clear, I am not the juggler. So you don't have to worry about that. No one will get hurt in the process. No, and it's going to be a beautiful fall day, and what better way to spend it? You know, your kids are young, so I don't know if you've talked to them about this, but if you have, or when you do, what do you tell them about, you know, your condition, the things that you are handling, the things that you're dealing with?
We spoke to them at a very young age to introduce this, I don't want to use the word different, but what they're seeing in their father. I am a human being. I am a loving person. So that's the message that I want them to see of who their dad is. I want them to know that they will not have to suffer from this condition in their lifetime, which is a beautiful thing. I want them to know that life gives us what it gives us. We have to do the best we can to manage each day, to be open, to explore new things, to communicate, to be strong, to be open and honest. And like we said, not to give up, not to quit.
Yeah. And I think that the fact that, you know, it's one thing to say, oh, be hopeful. And you should be, I think, in almost every circumstance, but you are proof that that hope can be seen in reality as well, because you have had success in reclaiming some of your preconditioned movement, things like that, through the device. Like if we continue as a society to invest in research, this is a real thing. This is not empty hope.
Oh yes, absolutely.
So I think that that's an important note in all of this. Do you know, a question for Richard and Rosalie? Obviously, when you first started to see the symptoms present, you didn't even know what the disease was. Do they now test for this? Is this one of those markers so you can know what to prepare for with a kid or anything like that, as far as you know?
Yes, with the genetic forms, you can do a genetic screen and make the diagnosis. But there are adult forms of dystonia that we do not have any idea what the gene is. For example, the ones that affect the vocal cords, spasmodic dysphonia, the ones that affect the eyes with blinking of the eyes, blepharospasm, and the most common one, which is torticollis, where the neck twists to the side and it's held painfully in that position. We don't know the gene for that. So there is no marker at this point. People are looking. And even the DBS treatment seems to work best for the childhood onset DYT1 form. And it's been used in other forms too, and it's successful, but is variable. My second son, Aaron, has complete resolution of his symptoms. You couldn't see anything abnormal or hear anything abnormal in his speech. And Ben and Dan have residual symptoms, both improved by DBS. So even that treatment is variable, even though it works best in the childhood onset form.
And I think that's an important note too, and we touched upon it a little bit, is that this can present in one particular area, or it can be general, if I'm not mistaken, like general dystonia. What does that look like?
Well, generalized dystonia is severe spasm and muscle contractions with altered gait and altered postures. And it depends particularly on which muscle groups are affected. My one son started in the upper extremity, and he was always a little milder. And supposedly when it starts in the lower extremity, like it did in Ben and Dan, it's more severe. So that's what makes the diagnosis so hard, because it depends on which muscle group is affected and how it presents and how severe it gets. It's like muscles fighting each other.
Yeah, it's very frustrating.
I would like to add for adults, it usually starts either as a focal dystonia, as Rich was just saying, eyes, neck, voice, hands. Musicians have been known to have dystonia as a result, we think, and again we don't know, of repetitive rehearsal or overuse of those muscle groups. But again, there might be genetic instances that have caused it that we don't know about yet.
Yeah.
The vocal includes writer's cramp, where the fingers pull back, and that can affect a keyboard musician or a string player. And Leon Fleischer, a famous pianist who's deceased now, but he had to give up his career because his right hand fingers were pulling. And some musicians lose a embouchure because of the muscles around the mouth and jaw pulling abnormally. So it's very variable, which is what makes diagnosis difficult.
Yeah. Well, all the more reason to show up at the zoo on Saturday, Ben. So before we wrap things up, anything else that you'd like to add that I might have missed in all this?
Going back to that thing about hope, I think every day is unpredictable. With my managing deep brain stimulation, when I make a change, I don't know what the results will be of that change until I experience it. But I think keeping the mental health of dystonia as positive as you can is really important. So anybody out there who lives with dystonia, keep that hope alive. Keep yourself as healthy as you can, because that will lead you to be better off. And come out on Saturday. It's going to be a great day.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
Yes.
Ben, thank you so much for talking with
Thank
me.
you.
I appreciate it. And Richard and Rosalie, thank you so much
Thank you, Adam.
for
We
sharing your
appreciate it.
story. I think that you bring a lot of hope, not just to folks with dystonia in their family or those who have it, but anybody who has some struggle, not even a disability, but a struggle in their life, whether they have it or their kids. I think that what we just saw was huge inspiration. I know I've got some today, which I'm very grateful for. I'm very grateful that all of you decided to stop on by through the Rochester First app to watch this this series. And please tell your friends and family about the Rochester First app. You can go on most smart TVs and download it for free. We are consistently trying to highlight the wonderful things happening in our community, and I think that was done successfully today. So again, thank you to Ben, Richard, and Rosalie Lewis, and thank you all so much for watching. Take care.
Get the Rochester First streaming app today for everything you love from News 8 On Demand, plus exclusive shows you won't see anywhere else. Search ROC and download for free on Roku, Amazon Fire, and Apple TV.